2025 Flogas Irish Men's Amateur Championship came to a thrilling conclusion as County Louth golfer Stuart Grehan came through a titanic playoff against English opponent Louis Hayward to claim the title at Seapoint Golf Links. It took 4 rounds and then 3 playoff holes to separate the pair, with Grehan coming from 4 shots back at the beginning of the day to land the title for the first time. The 32-year-old Offaly native, who now lives nearby in Termonfeckin, put in an almost perfect performance in the final round, shooting a bogey-free 6-under round of 66 to take the championship to extra holes before he won it on the 10th green.
Yeah, delighted. Just with everything, being close to home. I walk my dog here pretty much every night in the winter, all that sort of stuff, and yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. Obviously the biggest event in Ireland as well, so thrilled, absolutely thrilled. Yeah, I just kind of said to myself last night, look, you're always going to have sticky patches, and yeah, yesterday seemed to be that day for me, so I had a good warm-up this morning. I was thinking well, and I played great golf today. Could have been even a little bit better, but I was delighted with the way I played, and under pressure, kind of hitting the shots I did, so absolutely thrilled.
The sizzling hot temperatures continued into Sunday, and there was some blistering scoring out on the course, with reigning champion Matt McLean of Malone Golf Club leading the charge. The former US mid-amateur winner shot a course record 64 to take the lead at the opening round here, but had slipped back by the end of play on Saturday. He landed 8 birdies on Sunday as he registered a 13-under par total and the clubhouse lead. However, behind McLean, the Marlborough golfer Hayward was still in the ascendancy. He held the overnight lead alongside another local, Gerard Dunn of County Louth, and sustained his presence at the top of the standings. Hayward had birdies on the 5th and 6th holes and a crucial birdie on the 17th when he was being pressed hard by Grehan in the group in front. Grehan grabbed his 5th birdie of the day on the 16th, and when his approach shot settled on the 18th green, he had a real chance of posting an insurmountable lead. Grehan's eagle putt finished just inches short though, and that meant that a birdie would do for Hayward. But he missed his chance and the tournament went to a playoff. The local golfer looked to have left the door open when he went over the 18th green in the second playoff hole, but Hayward missed his opportunity and Grehan made him pay when they returned to the 10th.
Luckily he got into the playoff. He had a great putt in regulation, and we both played really well in the playoff. I just managed to get the better of him, so yeah, here we are. I could kind of feel it, or kind of sense it off him. He was a little bit more nervous than I was, but look, I think we thought well, kind of hit the shots we needed to hit it, and he gave me some great reads now, in fairness, so I'd like to thank him for that. But yeah, once Louis hit that shot into the bunker on the 3rd playoff hole, it was a really difficult up and down, so I kind of had the upper edge there, but I gave myself a nice bit of work from about 7 feet, but look, delighted, absolutely delighted.
This is Grehan's first championship win as a husband and father, and his son was there to enjoy and share in the moment.
Yeah, this is probably his first time he's ever been to an event, so to come away with the trophy is amazing, and obviously he hasn't a clue what's going on, but it's so cool, everything kind of coming around full circle and stuff like that, so yeah, I'm just absolutely thrilled, to be honest.
Stuart Grehan, the newly minted Flogas Irish Men's Amateur Open champion, must feel nice.
It does, yeah. It's starting to kind of sink in now the last kind of couple of days, last week. But I still like the sound of it. It still feels good, and just delighted I got it done when it mattered.
It's been widely reported and obviously widely covered that you turned professional in the last little over a year now, isn't it? A little under a year.
Yeah, a little under a year, yeah. It's October last year.
Yeah, you've started the process of regaining your amateur status. I'd love to dive into a little bit on that before we get into what the future holds, because the future sounds exciting. Professional golf can be tough.
Yeah.
Not just even the 18 holes. There's a travel, there's accommodation, there's just a lot of stresses that come to the point where the golf's the easy part.
Yeah.
How were those 6 years as a professional?
Probably an emotional roller coaster, if I was being honest. I've had some great times. I won a couple of times on Europro, a few Pro-Ams, and a few winter tours and stuff like that. It mightn't sound like much, but it gives you confidence. Playing against the guys that you will be playing on tour. And then you have other times where you could miss 3 or 4 cuts in a row, and you feel like you're never going to make a cut again. So, I guess as a big picture, very much an emotional roller coaster. I enjoyed it. I've had times where I hated golf. I didn't want to play it anymore. And other times I was like, geez, I don't think I'll ever miss again. So, yeah, it was just an emotional roller coaster, yeah.
Those are all feelings that every club golfer has as well. Just the stakes are a lot higher when it's a paycheck.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You're playing for your living as such, I guess. That's what you're doing essentially, But yeah, it just kind of came to a point for me that look, I gave it my all. I think I was still, and I still feel I am good enough to kind of make it onto tour, but it just didn't happen for me. And I'm okay with that.
How is life outside of golf? Because sometimes the stresses of golf can, like with everyone, seeps into personal life. But it seemed like everything was going very well. Obviously, young son now. My family life looks very nice.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, since he was probably the catalyst to make my decision. If I was being honest, I was kind of trending towards that, but once he was born, and I think I was home for 4 weeks, and then he, leaving him at home was actually really tough. And obviously, my wife Carla, there was a lot of pressure on her as well, raising him and stuff like that. So, but yeah, look, I think it was the right decision, and everything's going well now. I get to see him pretty much every day, and get to go home. So yeah, it's all good.
This is the last question on the pro side, because I do want to dive into the amateur stuff and what the future potentially holds.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good cohort of young Irish professionals now on various tours and mini tours. Did you float this idea that regaining your amateur status by any of them, or was it something that you kept to the inner circle? And then when you did announce you were going back amateur, did anyone kind of come up? You don't need to name names if they did, but did anyone kind of go, "No, that's interesting. That's something I was thinking about as well"?
Yeah, I kept it inward for a while actually. But then when I started to begin the process of contact RNA, what I need to do, the kind of documents I need to fill out, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. I said to a couple of guys, yeah, I'm turning pro, but they actually couldn't believe it or thought I was talking crap pretty much.
Oh, really?
What's that?
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe I guess that's all. That's all they know, but I suppose they just felt that like maybe my game was in a good place and I was playing well, and it's just like, why are you making that decision? But from a golfing perspective, I still think, as I said earlier on, I still think I was good enough, but I just wasn't really happy, So I was like, you know what, let's just take a different career path, and I'm delighted I did, to be honest. Yeah.
Then when you did start the process, did any of your contemporaries look at you or say anything? They're like, "Oh, that's interesting. Something I've been kind of toying with," or?
Yeah, actually, a few people reached out to me and said, "Look, I thought it was a really brave decision," which I was, and I got some great feedback from players that I didn't think I would. So
yeah,
that was actually really nice to hear. Because it was obviously, when I was making a decision, it was quite tough at the time. But once I did make it, I was like very content with it. But yeah, no, a few lads said to me and reached out, and they were very supportive. And look, maybe it's a catalyst for other guys who maybe haven't kind of gone on to make it. Maybe they'll do the same thing.
Because I think golf's a great sport in that way, that if a footballer or rugby player or whoever decides to retire from playing their sport professionally, it's generally because they're just physically, that's it, they're done. Like a footballer or whoever retires at 35, they're like, my legs are dust. Golf isn't that way at all, and you can compete at an incredibly high and elite level at amateur golf, which is, I say it's a massive carrot. You can go, I can still get that competitive itch. You can still compete at international, still represent Ireland as well, and compete against the best in the world. So, good decision. You look happy with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I said this to someone the other day, actually. If I hung up the clubs for good, I wouldn't be okay with that decision. The fact that I can go back, and I had 6 months, I can, I have these goals, because, as you say, like, you can still do all these things. You still play for Ireland or a GBNI team, and the fact that I had that made the decision a bit easier. And yeah, when someone kind of said that to me, it's like, fuck yeah, like, let's go for it, like, yeah. let's do it. So yeah, I still practice, a lot, and still love going out and competing and getting a card in my hand, and I have all these goals, so it's nice.
And I guess another big positive to that is you can also now create a life away from golf where, if you have a tough result or a tough finish or whatever professionally,
I would imagine you'd take that home. You'd certainly take it to the hotel room with you that night. Whereas you kind of now have to park it, go into work and do your day job, and then come back. And by the time you get back to it, even with a young family, I imagine you've probably forgotten all about the round.
Yeah, literally, yeah. I mean, I remember the Saturday of the Irish Am, actually, I played pretty poor. I was very vexed, and I came home, and I remember, I was just like, oh, Kai's upstairs or whatever. And I was like, oh, it actually really doesn't matter. Like, obviously, I was still vexed, but I was just like, I was able to switch out of that kind of attitude of like, talking about my round and what I did, blah blah blah, and then it's like, it actually doesn't matter. Like, it's all good.
Perspective,
exactly. And then the next day, I woke up, or sorry, that night I was talking to Carol. I was like, you know what, I'm actually in a really good place. I'm not going to have a round like that again. And he helped me in my warm up then on Sunday morning. So, it's just as you say, perspective.
I saw the video of you. Was it
Yeah.
a bit of activations?
Exactly.
What's
yeah.
holding them? That was great. That was really nice.
Yeah, I do that every morning before I play. I have a little ball thing I do. So, yeah, he decided he wanted a lift up. So I was like, what, I'll just stick you on, and you can add a bit of extra weight.
That's great. So then, how do you find that new balance of working professionally now and competing at an elite amateur level? Because, I mean, you could also be forgiven for going, listen, I'll take a year and then try and play the circuit. You didn't do that at all.
No. I mean, where I'm working now is fantastic. I'm working up in Dundalk in DFP, and I have to say, a huge thank you for their support. They've been very good for me. I'm based. The main office is up in Dundalk, so we're a financial advisory firm up in Dundalk. We have offices in Dublin, Cork, and Cavan as well. So, luckily the founder and the chairman, Owen Doohan's a big golfer himself. So he's a captain. He's past captain of Dundalk and ex senior cup player himself, and a member of Lahinch. So
wow.
Yeah, so he's obviously very good player himself in his own right, and obviously being at Lahinch, the Walker Cup, he's kind of he's very supportive of me going to play there. So
I'm sure he'd only be thrilled.
Exactly, yeah. And with work, I was able to get some, they're very flexible in terms of my time. So even like just example last week, I kind of got the call that I was able to go down to. They wanted me to practice for Europeans down in Killarney.
Wow.
So we went down for a practice. So I was able to kind of say to work, look, is there any chance I could get the Thursday, Friday off to go down? And everyone was really supportive, and no one's begrudging me going down to kind of play on the Thursday, Friday. So I got to give a huge shout out to them. But I just need to keep making these teams and winning these trophies, I guess, to keep everyone happy, I guess. But no, just a huge shout out to them, to DFP, for everything they've done for me so far.
It's a high bar you've set for yourself now in terms of getting annual leave. You're like, listen, you give me the week off, I promise I'll win.
Yeah, exactly.
Promise I'll win.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the trade-off. If I keep winning trophies, I might get a bit more time off.
So speaking of trophies, how was that week? But like, did it feel familiar? Did it feel a little bit alien? Or going into Sea Point, obviously there's a lot of familiarity in terms of play there a lot. So when it came to the actual competition now, it must be, is it familiar but also a little bit alien that you're like, okay, this is not professional but it's still elite?
Yeah, it's still elite. Yeah, exactly. I suppose I still have this professional mindset in my head of like preparation, how I'm going to play the golf course, and that's something I just learned from playing, which is great. So my preparation is it's probably a lot more diligent now than it was when I was an amateur.
Okay.
And just like the standard of professional golf, just having that mindset of going out, trying to shoot your 5, 6, 7 under par every round. That's what I kind of think now. So, I think it's an advantageous thing for me, which helps. But yeah, as you say, like, it doesn't feel too different because it's 4-round stroke play, where I think the match play ones are a little different.
Sure.
But yeah, just kind of treat it like another event. And yeah, Sea Point, I like Sea Point. I find it a little bit more difficult than Baltray here.
Okay.
So I didn't know how I was going to do that week, but obviously ended up being a great week.
More difficult in what way?
I just find it's some of the lines, like, I'm a bit of a cutter of the ball, so some holes doesn't suit that shape at all. So there's just a few tee shots that I'm not 100% confident on.
Okay. You spoke about taking things from your professional life practice. What else did you take into that week, or have you taken into golf that you've seen? Okay, yeah, I wasn't doing this beforehand, or I'm doing this now. I'm doing this now because I went through the professional route. Was it a case of like you talk about getting off to like a fast start? Did you look at like stroke play events, like just go and shoot 5 or 6 under and like a bit of a sprint? Whereas previously, when you're an amateur, was it a case of just shoot kind of 2-3 under, get it through to the match play?
I remember hearing Porrick talk about something before, and I think he made a great point. He's like, he was always getting ready for Sunday, which I thought was a really cool thing. And I was like, what does that mean? And he's like, talk about his preparation. He wasn't getting like too kind of into it, say Thursday, Friday, but once the weekend came, like mentally he was there.
Okay.
And I kind of took a few things from that. But I guess my practice now, I would do my preparation is a lot more diligent, a lot more structured. Just from like being around better players and stuff like that, and just the standard of golf, like in the professional game, is just crazy, even any level, to be honest with you. So just taking all those little bits, and then like I feel now when I come back, I'm like, okay, I feel like my game's as good as anyone's here. So just taking all those little bits, and then that kind of feeds into your inner confidence, and they all kind of add up to kind of decent scores here and there. So yeah, just taking all those little things things rather. Yeah.
You spoke about the standard of the professional game when you kind of came back to the amateur circuit. Is it a case of just there are more really good players at the professional side, or is there a bit of a drop off in quality?
I think the top end is pretty similar. Like everyone, like the really good players are still really good players. But like, yeah, their depth obviously isn't as big in amateur because they're not devoting their life to it, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's probably the difference, I would say. Just from like played obviously Matt Roberts last week. You know, they're still really, really nice players, tidy players. So, yeah, like the top end is still really, really good.
Yes, I imagine like the guys all competing at championships.
Exactly, yeah.
They're all guys that could go off and do things.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you just need a bit of luck when you turn professional. If I was being honest, like everyone can hit it. You know, everyone can putt, everyone can chip. Everyone's generally mentally very good. You just need a little bit of a break here and there and play well at the right time.
So then, post warm up Sunday morning, how did you feel then rocking up to Sea Point? You knew you were 3 back at the start of the day?
Yeah.
Was it a case of right, post a number and we'll see what happens, or do you like to leaderboard watch?
Yeah, it's funny. Saturday night, I was obviously I signed my card and I went into Connor, who was in the bar, and I said to him, "Look, let's try and just shoot 65 tomorrow."
Okay.
That's all I said to him. I said, I'm not going to have 2 rounds like that again. So went home, digested the round, obviously. Got up the next morning. All was good. Went to the range. Had a nice warm up. I would never really think of that as a thing, but I was moving well, and I was kind of happy where the club was. Just these little kind of weird little things,
sure.
But yeah, like as I said, I wouldn't really look into that too often, but I felt like I was hitting my shape lovely, and yeah, I just went out and played lovely golf, to be honest. Hit the shots that I seen, held a few nice putts. And I think I still missed 2 or 3 putts from inside 6 feet that day, and I still shot 6. So, you know, it could have been a really, really good day, but yeah, just very comfortable that day, and there was a nice buzz with the crowd and everything, so it was awesome. Yeah.
So then, is there a point, like, did you know kind of where you were going down, like 16, 17, 18?
I had a feeling. I held that putt on 16 from about 6 or 7 feet, and I heard the crowd get a little bit more rowdy. And the most nervous I was on 17, 17T in regulation. Okay. I didn't know where I stood, but I had a feeling I was either tied for the lead or 1 back. Just because a lot more people are kind of following me, and the crowd is a bit bigger and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was very nervous in that tee.
You were 2 groups in front, was it?
One
group right in front.
Yeah.
So were you able to, especially on 17, are you able to have a look over your shoulder and kind of see what's going on, what Louis Hayward's doing? Yeah,
I didn't know who it was, Louis or Jer. I didn't know who was like tied with me. So, yeah, I hit a bad tee shot on 17, but I had a great up and down. And on 18, it was probably the best thing of the week. Hit a lovely little fade down the fairway and had 8 iron into the hole. And I hit it to 20 feet, just short right. And I asked Connor then where we stood. And he said to me, "You're 1 back." Louis made birdie in 17. So I said to myself, I got to hold that putt to get into a playoff. but left us short, and luckily Louis made par.
Yeah, that was his putts like just lipped out. I mean, you talk about luck earlier on in the professional game, like this a game of millimeters.
Exactly, yeah. He holds that putt, I come second. This is all different.
Yeah. Then so playoff comes along, and oh my God, low scoring playoff. Yeah. You both go birdie on 10, birdie on 18, and then again another birdie wins it. But it certainly wasn't as straightforward as that, because like the quality of golf, and 10 was straightforward the first time around.
Yeah.
You both kind of just plodded your way around. It was almost boring golf, aside from the fact it was for the playoff.
Yeah.
And then your first time coming down 18, you put yourself into a little bit of a trickier position. You made it a little harder for yourself to have that hole.
Yeah. Again, I hit a lovely tee shot. He hit it left, and he hit an unbelievable shot onto green from where he was. I think he was like about 230 from the rough. So I wasn't expecting that, but at the same time, you have to expect everything. But he hit a great shot, and I said to Connor, I think one of us is going to have to make 3 here to get out of this playoff. So
it felt that way.
Yeah, I said, look, I'm gonna hit one extra club, but I'm gonna try and cut it into the hole, because only way I could get it back there, and I just kind of pulled it. Gave myself a bit of a tricky kind of up and down long left of 18. Gave it a bit extra steam going by. I think it was like 11 feet I had left coming back. So managed to sneak that in the right edge, and on to 10 we go again.
How did you feel stepping up onto the 10th tee for the first time for that playoff? Like we're talking about familiarity. Like, are you confident, comfortable? Could you see that Louis was maybe a little bit anxious?
Yeah, I was absolutely fine. It was funny. Like I wasn't nervous in my hands at all. It was only in my feet, which is really weird. Never felt that before. But no, I felt good. I knew my game was good. I was driving the ball great, so I was very confident. Yeah.
And then 10 for the second time was a bit more straightforward. I think Louis put himself into that greenside bunker. And just where the pin position was, that's tough. Yeah, tough one to get close to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a bit more into the wind the next time we played it, because I think I'd 70 yards longer.
Okay.
Now I know we both didn't hit it as well off the tee, but I was just like 10 yards past him, and I think at 240, so he would have had 250-ish.
Yeah.
And once he hit into that left bunker, I said to Connor, like, that's a tough up and down. So I hit a great forehand into, I think, 30 feet, kind of short left of the hole, and he obviously kind of flubbed his bunker shot just a little bit, and that kind of gave me the kind of, like, it's obviously a tough putt he had, so I kind of said, look, 2 putts here and it gets it done. But I gave myself a bit more work than I needed to do.
Didn't you leave yourself like a 7 or 8 footer?
7-footer downhill left to right, yeah, just what you want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, you made it.
Yeah.
And this is your first. You played the West, isn't it?
Played the West. Yeah.
So second championship back.
Third. I played Munster stroke play, yeah, I suppose, but third one really, yeah.
Yeah, and you get the win. I mean, what's the first feeling when you get the win? It's your first win as a dad now as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, I played Ross Lair, I suppose that doesn't count, but yeah, it was relief, to be honest. Yeah, relief, because I wanted to win that one so bad, just with everything going on. Obviously, my wife's from there, and her mother and father-in-law are members there, and obviously Flogas being a title sponsor, they looked after me. The biggest event in Ireland, the Irish Amateur. So there was just loads of things kind of adding up, and I was like, that is the one I'd like to win. I'd love to win. Obviously, being the East there and stuff, that's obviously another one I'd like to win. But that was the one I was really targeting. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the East. This is going to be going out next week in the lead up to the East. We are obviously broadcasting the final round of the championship again. You've won this before. Mm-hmm. You live in locally. You play you're a member here. All the things are kind of lining up.
Yeah.
Is that additional pressure that, like, now that you won last week as well, or 2 weeks ago, are all the members just saying, I go on, like, go for two for two, you can do it, Stewie.
Yeah, a few of them have said that for sure. Yeah, but I actually feel a little bit not as much pressure, if I was being honest.
Great,
which is nice. Yeah, because I've kind of got a win already, I guess, but. Once kind of next week rolls around, like, I'll be super focused, and I want to get the win, of course. I love this golf course. It's in incredible condition. The lads have got.
So yeah,
it's the greens are so good. So it's going to be a great week. Hopefully the weather plays ball. Hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, I'll be buzzing by next week. To be honest, I can't wait for it.
When you won there in Sea Point, did it mean anything different to you after like you've won amateur championships before, won professionally? You're older now. You're still young, but you're older than you were when you won the championships. Did it mean anything different?
Yeah. No, I still wanted to win. Yeah, I mean, as I said to you, it was a huge side relief because of the one I wanted to win, and I suppose I was outspoken about that I wanted to win it. So that was probably, just relief, I guess. Yeah, I suppose it's opened up a few doors for sure this year. Obviously, we've Europeans on in Ireland, and Eisenhower's on this year. Walker Cup's on this year. So yeah, look, they're the things I want to do, and like winning this has opened the door. I still think I have to play really well to make these sort of teams, but I think it's given me an opportunity now to go on and see can do it again.
You mentioned there a couple of those team championships and like Walker Cup in particular. You've been pretty outspoken about that being an ambition of yours. What do you think you need to do to even start being in a conversation? I mean, you've definitely started the conversation.
Yeah, I definitely started a conversation, but yeah, I have a super long way to go. I mean, I can't even get into the bigger events. That's a bit of a problem. Just because my world ranking has to be reset and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I suppose that's the biggest challenge, is just getting into the events and being able to try and showcase them there, I guess. But yeah, I would probably like to think I'm into the European Amateur, which is, I got an exemption from Golf Ireland, so
that's great.
I'd like to thank them for that. Yeah, so if I go there and maybe have a good result, might maybe show something. I don't think I'm going to get into the amateur. So yeah, I just have to see how things go and just keep trying to play good golf and see where it takes me.
That's it. It's this kind of thing as well, isn't it? Just keep winning, and things will start looking at themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Look, my game's in good shape and feel like I'm doing all the right stuff. So yeah, I just have to keep the head down. Look, I know I've been outspoken about Walker Cup. Like it is something I want to do, but it's not going to impact how I play or anything like that. So
you seem like a man who likes to operate by a plan. You don't do things like off the hoof.
No.
Does that come across into how you play and every aspect of your life?
Yeah, I'd be very diligent with my preparation. Like even when I get the pins for Baltray, even though I know the golf course and where to hit it and stuff like that, I'll literally be plotting. I'll check where the wind is that day. So like what clubs hit off tees, I'll kind of visualize all that before I even played around. And then if I go out and try and execute as best I can. So that's how you kind of see things. It's probably a little bit more in-depth than most, but yes, that's how I see it.
And were you always like that, even when you were amateur beforehand, or is that one of those things you took over from your professional career?
Definitely one of the things I took over, yeah. Just how I played a golf course. You kind of nearly play from the green backwards. So, with that preparation and stuff and seeing so many different courses and playing so many different courses, that's how we kind of prep now.
So, first round, going into the East, what'll the morning of look like prep-wise?
Depends the time I'm playing.
Okay, let's say you're going out in the morning, 9
o'clock. I'll probably get up. Well, I'll probably up okay at 6 a.m. Probably do my kind of activation stuff home at like 7, half 7. Get to the course, probably 10 to 8. Do a bit of putting, do a bit of chipping, hit a few balls, and get ready from there, I guess. But when looking at the golf course, I do all that the night before. Check where the wind is, where the pins are. Where certain tee boxes may be, but I don't think the tee boxes, I think they'll all be back, because sometimes they change them on tour and stuff. So, just all those little things. I'm sure a lot of people do them, but it's something that I just developed myself better when I was a professional. Almost
nearly like a comfort thing at this point, where you'll feel better about yourself and about your game having done that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like I obviously when I play here, I hit driver everywhere. I mightn't do that now when there's a card in my hand or more so of a championship. So I need to be a little bit more disciplined then.
So what does this season look like from your side? I imagine you're playing all the amateur championships.
Yeah, in Ireland, yes. I'm playing European Amateur, which I get into, which is great, and I'm going to the European Mid-Am actually, just after the East. I know.
That's a whole other route now that is open to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was always in my plans. I've, since winning, I think people are trying to steer me towards maybe playing St Andrews that week. St Andrews Links is on, but I myself and Carla were bringing Kai with us to Portugal. It's kind of a holiday as well, so that's important too. But if you go over and play European Mid-Am, and somehow, if it goes really well, you get into the US Mid-Am, so that would be really cool. That's another event I was kind of targeting this year. So these are all subjects of obviously playing really good golf, but it's nice to have these, bigger goals. You might as well kind of reach and try and win all these things. And
Absolutely.
it's not going to happen. We all know that. Like, you're not going to win every event, but at least, go out and try.
Yeah. Especially when you talk about the Mid-Am route. Like, you've got Matt McLean there who went to the US Mid-Am. Hugh Foley played in a bunch of times as well. Like, there are contemporaries of yours that have done it and are doing it. You're like, why wouldn't you throw your hat in for that?
Yes, exactly. And Matt's been telling me all the places he's been and played and the teams and stuff. Like, I shared them down in Killarney last week. So that was really cool to hear all that, and how he's finding it and stuff. So it was kind of cool to hear that, and I'd love a little bit of a taste of that.
That's an interesting point you kind of referred to there. What's the camaraderie like now you're back here, back in Ireland, back on the circuit? Because although there are a number of guys who play professionally, I imagine everyone has their own routine. Everyone likes to do things their own way. So, and I don't want to say it's a lonely life, or it can be a lonely life. It certainly can be a lonely life. But when you're back here now in Ireland, I imagine it's a bit more, friendly competition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's competitive.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know some of the guys when I went down, so that was a bit different. I knew their names, but I didn't know personally.
Yeah,
I obviously knew Matt and Paul, but the rest of the guys I didn't really know. So it was my first time kind of meeting them and introductions and stuff like that. But yeah, we had good fun. There's a little bit of competitive juice down there, and it was great to see the golf course. Historically, we wouldn't get to see a golf course that far out, so that was cool to see. So yeah, it was nice. But yeah, we had a bit of crack, and I'd known Matt from years ago, so it was kind of nice to catch up again.
Well, it sounds like you've got a very busy and potentially very exciting year ahead of you. Is it 2 Walker Cups consecutively?
Yeah. I don't know why or how that is, but I'm very happy with it. Anyway, it gives 2 bites of the cherry.
Yeah. Well, hopefully now we'll see you on at least one of those teams.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Is Lahinch 26 or 27?
26.
26. So
yeah.
DFP corporate week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be great. I mean, yeah, it would be amazing. That was the one I was really targeting, but obviously winning last week has obviously opened up a lot of doors. But I'll take either one of them.
Yeah, best of luck this year. Congratulations already on the win. And no doubt we'll be following all the success.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
On the tee, Jack Nicklaus.
This is the minute that millions around the world have waited for.
We will allow you to enjoy all of this. They are dancing in the pubs of Dublin. Harrington with an ace.
And we have a shining star at sunset. Rory continues his run to greatness.
The return to glory.